my goodness, there you are. Thank you. Wow. All right. You know, I look forward to 9 a.m. through the week, so this is important. I do. It's good to be with you all. It is funny. I was, Dorothy and I were talking earlier this week, and I said, you know, and some of you know, because some of you time hop, service hop, so you understand the differences between the services, and like this is the perfect middle service, because it just shoots me out into the rest of the day. It's really good. So I'm not making it up. I'm being serious here for just a moment. I promise it won't last. I've got some important information for you. If you were with us, with me last week in the Verdon Parlor after the 10:30 service, the second session of UM 101 will be happening today. That actually has to do with the church and who we are. Last week was about kind of the scriptural understanding of who we are as Christians and disciples. And so if that sounds appealing to you, I'd love to see you at that point. We are taking a special Thanksgiving offering today. There should be envelopes around here, floating around here somewhere. So if you didn't get one, we'll get one to you. And remember that next Saturday, you all will know this better than I do, but next Saturday is Simsbury Celebrates. And so the church will be open. We've got the Messiah Sing. We have Carillon tours. We have the Warming Hut. You going to talk a little bit about that? Would you please? Yeah.
I've been meaning to tell you. Is this on? No.
Not yet.
It will be.
Mm-hmm.
Check. I have been meaning to let you know, our musician who's on stage is Andrew Thompson. And you probably are thinking, I don't know who Andrew Thompson is. Last year, I don't know if you remember, we had this cool guy in playing the alien pipes. And we did, yes. And if you, it's him. And if you've been to a Christmas Angelicus concert, that guy who's playing the marimba all before the concert, that's him too. So he is a Marimba One rep for the country. The guy is good. He plays the alien pipes, and he's also quite an accomplished keyboardist. He's going to be doing all three of those, not at the same time, on stage. But you know him, and he's been here to play, and so he's very cool, and he's going to be, and he's also a composer. And nice. So it's Andrew who's going to be on stage. So please come out and see him, because he's very cool, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be at the Warming Hut. He's going to be on stage. Yep. Yeah, so another reason to come.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Dorothy.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So, but before we get there, we have to do Thanksgiving, right? And so this year, I'm really grateful that Marty and Chuck Kazmarek have offered to host people at their house. You know that Pastor Woody and Pastor Florence would have people come on Thanksgiving. My family situation's a little different. We'll be traveling this year, and so Chuck and Marty have offered to host, and they have asked that you let them know if you're going to come, or if you know folks who are going to come. I'm asking you, on behalf of them, to let them know that all they need to do is reach out and let Marty know so that there's enough food. Okay, so that's some homework for you, as it were. And the last thing is that tonight at 7 o'clock at First Church, just down the road a little bit, the big white one on the hill, we will be having a community Thanksgiving service. And so you're all invited. Allegedly, I am co-preaching with the other new pastor in town. His name is Taylor. He's Episcopalian priest. And so we're going to get together and do a little something. So if that sounds like fun, that's at 7 o'clock. There's also a zillion choirs and other music, and that should be great. And the last thing is, if you made it out on Friday night and you came to hang out with me and Aaron and the kids, thank you so much for coming. We had a great time. We're really glad that you did. If you couldn't make it, and I've heard from a lot of people they had other things to do, they had stuff that got in the way, we will do it again, I promise you. So we'll let you know when that comes up, and we look forward to seeing you at our house soon, okay? In the meantime, let's greet each other, and then we'll have some church, okay? All right.
Are you all settled in to your house?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we're good. We're
That's
way
okay.
good. It's a great neighborhood. just sit here for a minute? Let's just sit here for just a minute, right? Sometimes just doing that, we get antsy, we get nervous, we get uncomfortable, things get kind of quiet, but just sit with that for just a minute. Thank you for that this morning. Good morning. How are you? Can I come and sit down there with you? Can I do that? Thank you. Oh, boy. Oh, this is way better. Yeah, I like this too. This is good. How are you this morning? Good? Good. Do you know what's happening this week? Are you having dinner at your house? You're going to your God. In Nebraska. Whoa. That's awesome. Did you all hear that? She's going to her Gaga's house in Nebraska, and then Aunt Cheryl, right? And you're going to eat Thanksgiving dinner? That is super cool. I've been to Nebraska. It's a pretty neat place. Lucky you. Going at such a young age. That's great. You are? Really? At the same time, or is it a different thing? On Saturday. Wow. Well, that's perfect. Because today I was going to ask you, but I don't think I need to, if there was anything that you were really glad about, that you wanted to give thanks for. Because it's Thanksgiving, right? But you're going to go see your Gaga and Aunt Cheryl, and then you're going to get to be a flower girl in a wedding. You've got so much to be thankful for, right? That is awesome. I am so glad that that is going to happen. And I hope that you have a wonderful time and safe travels, okay? You get to wear a pretty dress when you flower girl? Super fun, right? Good. Friends, this is what Thanksgiving is all about, right? This is what it's all about. And so, yeah, and that too, and probably some pie. I imagine there might be some pie in there, right? Okay, yeah. Do you like pie? I love pie. It's yep.
Yeah, and today we're gonna after
Yep.
we're going to go and celebrate Thanksgiving a little bit with my Mimi and Papa.
With Mimi and Papa, that's great.
After church, I'm gonna go and pick up cheesecake with my mom and daddy. And bring it over to
That
Mimi and Papa to the door.
That is wonderful. And that is also what Thanksgiving is about. Would you pray with me? Because we have a lot to be thankful for, right? Okay? Yeah. That is so good. All right. Gracious and loving God, sometimes when we get too old or too busy, we forget to give thanks for the little things, like visiting with family and getting to be a flower girl and going to get cheesecake and traveling to Nebraska. And so, Lord, we pray blessings and travel mercies, and we also ask that you help us to remember all of the things that we are thankful for today and tomorrow and always. Amen. Thanks. Amen. That's your sermon, by the way, so we're good. We are all set. Man. Awesome stuff. Yeah, right? Exactly. Good. Thank you. Come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First reading this morning is from the first chapter of Samuel. Oh, it's from 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. Hannah prayed and said, "My heart exults in the Lord. My strength is exalted in my God. My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in my victory. There is no holy one like the Lord, no one besides you. There is no rock like our God. Talk no more so very proudly. Let not arrogance come from your mouth. For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty are broken, but the feeble gird on strength. Those who are full have hired themselves out for bread, but those who are hungry are fat with spoil. The barren has borne 7, but she who has many children is forlorn. The Lord kills and brings to life, who brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low, he also exalts. He raises up the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap, to make them sit with princes and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and on them he has set the world. He will guard the feet of his faithful ones, but the wicked shall be cut off in darkness, for not by might does one prevail. The Lord, his adversaries shall be shattered. The Most High will thunder in heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the power of his anointed.
Thank you. This morning, the gospel comes to us from Mark chapter 13, verses 1 through 8. As Jesus came out of the temple, one of his disciples said to him, "Look, teacher, what large stones and what large buildings." Then Jesus asked him, "Do you see these great buildings? Not one stone will be left here upon another. All will be thrown down." When he was sitting on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple, Peter, James, John, and Andrew asked him privately, "Tell us, when will this be? And what will be the sign that all these things are about to be accomplished?" Then Jesus began to say to them, "Beware that no one leads you astray. Many will come in my name and say, 'I am he,' and they will lead many astray. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. This must take place, but the end is still to come. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be earthquakes in various places, and there will be famines. This is but the beginning of the birth pangs." Here ends the reading for today. Some of you know that I was away this week. I serve on the board of Ordained Ministry. And one of our jobs is to interview folks, much like yourselves, who want to be behind the pulpit, who want to either be pastors or they want to be deacons, people that are making their way through that process. And so I thankfully, luckily, and beautifully serve with Mel Kawakami and with Dennis Winkleblack and about 45 other people. And so we gathered in Ellenville. We used to gather in Bloomfield, Connecticut, right over Talcott Mountain, and then they found out that I was getting appointed here, and they decided to move it to Ellenville. So, which is maybe not factually correct, but it certainly feels that way, because I showed up at the last one of these, which was in March, in Bloomfield, and everybody went, "Hey, you're coming to Simsbury, that's cool, we're going to Ellenville." So we journeyed to Ellenville, and we spent about a day and a half interviewing candidates. And so there are the prescribed questions, and you want to talk to them about their theology, and you want to make sure that they can run a Bible study, and you want to know how do they administrate the church. But then there are also those times where you get to gather around meals. So you're having breakfast with them, and you're having lunch with them, and you're having dinner with them. You see them, on the way to snack time. Well-fed is happy people, and so we are well-fed when we do these things. And one of the questions that I asked people, it's not an adjudicatory question, I'm not grading anybody, but I'm always a little curious, is how are you going to handle Sunday? How are you going to deal with the scriptures that came up for this Sunday? What are you going to do with them? Just out of curiosity, right? There's no right or wrong answer. But the answer that I got from a number of people was kind of the wide-eyed look. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that yet. I thought I'd do this thing, and then I'd do that thing. Which is, that's a satisfactory answer. But you see, the reality of it is that while sometimes where these readings come from, which is a list that will get you through all of the Bible in roughly 3 years, sorta, sometimes they play really nicely together. At first glance, when I looked at the readings for this morning, they didn't seem to play well together at all. And in particular, the gospel reading, the reading from Mark, is really dark. All this stuff is going to fall apart, and there's going to be war and rumors of war, and nations will rise against nations, but don't worry, it gets worse. I really have to preach that? Can I get up on Sunday morning and we just don't have a gospel? There's just no good news this morning? Can we just 1 week, can I have a pass? So I was looking and I was asking and I was curious to see what people were going to do with this. And it seemed like they were in the same place that I was. And one of these things that's funny about serving on the board of ordained ministry is that you're so busy and the days are so long and there's so much going on and you're doing so much listening and so much talking and really trying to discern what a person is saying to you. And you get people who are nervous about this, and so you're helping them through, that you kind of don't really pay attention to what's going on around you. I don't really talk to Aaron. I try to talk to the kids in the morning, and that's kind of it. That's what I've got room in my life for. And then I just go and I sleep and pass out in my room. That's it. But this week there was something about it where I'm not sure why I was paying attention a little more closely to what was going on in the world, and I'm looking at the wildfires in California. And of course, Mel grew up in California. We're talking about that on the way in and out, and thinking about those people, thinking about all the other stuff that's going on. I have a huge number of colleagues who are from Korea. We're talking about Korea, talking about peace maybe on the Korean Peninsula. I'm talking to my colleagues who are working in the inner city. They're seeing stuff that we can't even imagine, can't even wrap our heads around, right? And so I started thinking about this passage again, this passage from Mark. And I started thinking about it, that we, friends, you and me, and all of these other people that I was with, we're going to be getting together at the end of the week to celebrate Thanksgiving, right? In whatever form we do that, whatever our tradition is, We're going to be gathered around a table somewhere. We're going to be eating some sort of food, and we're going to pause in our lives. I hope and pray that you can do this. And we're probably going to be with some family members. And yet, if you're like me, you're going to go into this with kind of this knot in your stomach a little bit and this worry in your heart. The backstory of Thanksgiving, at least in this country, is that it kind of sort of started with the Puritans. It's a little apocryphal, but we're pretty sure that happened. And then it kind of came along, and we did this kind of hit or miss thing towards the end of the season, hopefully before it snowed and it got cold. We're going to miss that this year. And then in 1863, during the Civil War, Lincoln decided to set this day aside in this moment where we as a country were completely torn apart. Which doesn't sound familiar at all, but we'll go with it. And he said we should gather and we should give thanks. And then we kind of did that for a while. And then during the Great Depression, FDR said, no, we're going to set this aside and we're going to mark this down. And it's going to be on this Thursday in November, and we're going to do this, right? Again, this dark period in our country's history, the Depression. And so I started thinking about that, and I went, maybe this is perfect. Maybe this is really good. Maybe this is right where we need to be. Because sometimes, unless things are like this, we don't really know how to say thank you. When things are good, it's really just kind of easy to roll along, and sometimes it's hard to be thankful. Not if you are adorable and going to Nebraska to see Gaga. But for us, sometimes that's a little tough. And so maybe it's not so much what's going on in the passage, and the backstory there, by the way, is that what Jesus is really saying is that if you're really going to be a disciple, if you're really going to engage in radical love and hospitality, if you're really going to follow what I'm doing here, all of this stuff, all of this great stuff, and there was no greater stuff in his day than the temple in Jerusalem, all of that's going to go away. It's not going to matter. Okay? That's the backstory there. But maybe, just maybe if we, you and me, and our families, and the people that will gather towards the end of this week, maybe if we can remember the stuff that we need to be thankful for, and really earnestly give thanks for that, maybe then we can work on changing some stuff. Maybe that's how we get there. And what better place to do that than with people who we may not really be crazy about seeing? I'm telling the truth, right? Right? Everybody's got that person in their family. They're coming this week. You're getting ready. There are contingency plans. One of my favorite movies that deals with this is called The Family Stone. And it is all about this. Some of you have seen this, right? It is about this family that is gathering for the holidays. And they're not really excited about it because everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got difficulties. in this scene in the movie that just sums it up for me, the way some of us feel about the holidays, and I just use that loosely, Thanksgiving into Christmas, culminates with the family having a wrestling match on the front lawn while the mother stands there and hoses them down. This is the only thing she can think to do, and she's just done, and so she's just going to hose them right in the middle of the neighborhood. Everybody can see it, right? For some of us, that's the way this week will be. So this is a perfect opportunity, friends, to practice really giving thanks for stuff. It's only funny because there's an element of truth in it. And so I want you to think about that. Hold that intention. Hold that intention and then think about what this passage from Mark means about how if you really live into this, if you really take your commitment to Christ seriously, if you really want to be a disciple, and if you really, really, really want to welcome those family members, things will fall apart in the most wonderful way possible. It's possible. Things will change. The big stuff that we all worry about will not be such a big deal. And that's where I found the tie-in to the reading that we had this morning from 1 Samuel. If you don't know the story of Hannah very well, this is Hannah's Magnificat that you heard. It is priming us for Mary's Magnificat, which we'll hear in about a month. Hannah is expecting a baby. She's expecting new life. And she is rejoicing that she has been chosen to do this. It's a wonderful story. It is a marvelous story. It is an unfortunately often forgotten story that I'm so glad came up this week. Because in those moments of waiting for new life, and in those moments of watching children grow, right? We had a baptism last week. Doubles, twins, super fun. We get to watch those kids grow. You've gotten to watch your kids grow. You get to watch other people's kids grow. And see, the thing is that, here's the thing, you and me, we were kids once too. And somebody was excited that we were here. Somebody saw something amazing and transformative in us, because new life always starts that way. Maybe it wasn't your mom or your dad. Maybe there's some sadness there, but somebody took an interest in you. Somebody held your hand and brought you along and taught you some things along the way. Maybe they brought you to church, or they helped you with your homework, or they taught you how to throw a ball. Whatever it is, I want you to remember that moment. Do you have it? Can you feel it? It's worthy of giving thanks, friends. And it was in that moment where I saw these two scriptures where I went, oh, dear Lord, please, can somebody else do this for me? I don't want to do this Sunday. I saw it in that moment, these two pieces come together. Because really what they are saying to us in two very different ways is that we are a people of gratitude. We are a people who ought to be giving thanks, not just on one day set out apart from the rest of the year because somebody else said so, but because we have so much to be grateful for. We have things to be grateful for in those crazy family members who will come and bug us. And maybe we're those crazy family members. I'm traveling this year. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Maybe it's new life around us, and it doesn't have to be babies. It can be new things that are popping up and sprouting up. Maybe it is simply that we are here and we have found a church and faith community that loves us and takes us in and lets us be us. Whatever it is, friends, take some time and set some time aside in the craziness and busyness that starts now and will run until January 1st. Find some time and space to give thanks. That's what we are about. People of gratitude and people who say thanks for lots of different stuff in lots of different ways. Amen. Friends, I want to invite you into this time of prayer. I want to invite you to feel the music kind of settle on you, to feel the space speak to you, to take a moment apart from the busyness that will be this week, the joys and maybe the frustrations, and just to take a moment and just to be. To think about the things that you are thankful for. The people in your life that you love. And people in your life that are a challenge to you. I want you to think about things that you have been thankful for in the past and things that you will be thankful for in the future. I want you to think about what it means to be a disciple of Christ. To love God and to love your neighbor and to love yourself with your whole heart and your whole mind and your whole being. I want you to think about how you can cram more gratitude into your life. And then I want you to come with me on this journey as these words are read. Loving Jesus, guide us in the way of faithfulness so we will not be led astray. Lead us on the path of righteousness so we can be your disciples. Carry for us the burdens that we cannot bear alone so that the journey will not be too long for us. Provide for us nourishment for our bodies, minds, and spirit so that we can endure any obstacles that are in our way. Pray for us when we do not know how to pray for ourselves so that we can draw strength and comfort from your presence. We join these prayers together in the prayer that you taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
All
invite you to stand as you are able to receive the benediction this morning. My sisters and brothers in faith, everything that we plant will not grow. Everything that we build will not stand, but we will continue to plant seeds of hope and to build communities of love anyway. And so don't be discouraged, because we do not work in vain. May the grace of God and the love of Jesus and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit continue to work with and through us always. Amen.